a lot of the times when you're an artist, there's a lot of self-doubt, and sometimes you feel like it's not good enough. You feel like maybe like giving up.
Watch this.
Welcome to the Mad Campus Podcast. I'm your host, Imani, and on this show, we talk about the behind-the-scenes process of visual art and storytelling. If you're from Houston and you've been to art shows or Comic-Cons or festivals, then you've probably seen an artist with so much vibrant colors, black and pink, fan art, just amazing pop. She's been an anime Matsuri, Nostalgia Con, and so much more. Post Oak Houston. She is BXP, BrokenXPalette, and she is my guest today. How you doing?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. How exciting.
So today we're going to talk about your creative process and art, and I want to start off by asking, what moment or experience sparked your art style? Like, was it a specific artist, event, or feeling?
What sparked my art style? So I kind of would say a little bit of mix of like feelings as well as other artists. So I think mainly it's my love for the gothic, like the emo, the cute, and the creepy, because I do like the dark side, but I also like the cute side of things. So it's kind of like a mix of both that came to be.
Awesome. Yeah, that is definitely the best way to describe your style. It's like cute and gothic. Even the way you look is your art style, like the pink and black. It's crazy. So, if you could spend a day with your favorite artist, what would you ask them, or what would you want to learn from them?
Okay, so it's really hard to think of like a favorite artist, but one that comes to mind is Melanie Martinez. I love her storytelling, whether it's like with her lyrics, her music video, or just her stories regarding her characters, which kind of resonates a little bit with a story that I'm trying to create as well. So what I would ask her is, I guess, whenever she feels discouraged or has some self-doubt, what helps her push through that? Because a girl over here be going through it sometimes. I would like to know from someone I admire that inspires me, what they do to get through that.
That's cool, yeah. Because like when you have like a favorite artist, you want to know, how do you keep going? Like what, you're going to do stuff. You know they're going to do stuff because they talk about it in their music, or you can see that they're going to do stuff. So it's like,
Yeah.
how do you keep going?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I know you draw a lot of fan art. So of all the questions you've drawn, which one feels the most alive to you and why?
So I draw a lot of fan art, but I think that drawing, like I think the art that feels the most to me alive is a character named Deirdre. I haven't really shown her much, but I've started to incorporate her a little bit more and more, which I'm hoping to change that. Like I'm hoping to incorporate her more in my work. She's kind of like one of my main characters. So in my head, she's like this big complex character that has like a huge backstory, and she's technically like an entity. I'm not sure if you guys have seen her. She has like little horns and a little halo around her head, and she's just basically an entity that is like starting to create a world of her own, based off of past lives that she's had, trying to fix, I guess, what plagued her old world. So in my head, that character, oh man, I could go on and on.
That's cool. And I actually do remember that character. And for the viewers that's on YouTube, I will put it on the screen. It was, I think, last year you have painted a 10 by 10 picture of her. Am I correct?
Yeah.
And it's sold.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Yes.
But and that's another reason I wanted you on my show, because I know that you take your art, your original characters, and you also like, you have ideas about like comic books and also a video game. Are you comfortable talking about the video game that you're going to make?
Okay, so that one is so, it's like a big project. It's one of those things that it's like, oh man. But okay, so basically in this video game, what I really want to create is kind of like, I guess it's like, okay, so think of like a customizable character, which is basically Deirdre in the BXP world. And Deirdre, like we've mentioned, she's kind of like an entity. So she can be anything and look like anyone. So you can customize her, right? But I guess it's kind of like a mix of Mario World with like The Sims. So you know how like in Mario World you are finding like coin stars and
You're
yeah,
traveling
so
different maps and stuff, but traveling the different levels.
yeah, so traveling different levels and stuff. So in my little game, you kind of go doing that, but instead you go ahead and just go mending little hearts from like your civilians, just different like characters that will be in the story. And it has like a little mixture of like the Sims because the more stars, sorry, the more mending hearts that you do, you get more stardust, which stardust you can do anything with it. You can customize your world with it. You can customize yourself and your home. So
So it's
I
kind of
think
like
it's
an
pretty fun.
RPG too, right? Like,
Yeah,
cause you,
yeah, yeah.
that's cool. So we got like a platform idea where like the the actual gameplay, but then you also can do RPG because you customize your character. And then whatever you win the missions, you can take those points and do whatever you want. You can do your world, your house, or whatever you want to do with your character.
Correct. Yes.
That's cool. Also, I didn't add this in the list, but you told me a while ago in person that you were also like making a little comic book with your character too.
Yes, so it's kind of like I'm trying to make a graphic novel right now. I'm in the process of just writing it down and then I can transfer it into I guess like for the graphic novel I'll just have some art in it. However, I would like to create like little short stories that I can create into comics. Yeah.
Hmm. What do you plan on? I know you're still in the writing phase, but do you have like any plans on where you want to post it at? Like, will it be like a webtoon or print?
So I've been looking into printing them and just hopefully I can promote it. I think I will start hopefully like a Patreon one day or like, or add it into Ko-fi, where I can just have people see little stories of it, like little sneak peeks or my behind process, and then hopefully grow a following that really like it, and then I'll end up pushing it myself, hopefully. But I'm not 100% sure with all the little details, but I know like once I'm out there, I will be promoting it more. Hmm.
That's cool. Sticking with your actual original character,
Yeah.
how did you come up? Like, what is the backstory behind why you created her in the first place?
So I think the reason why I created her in the first place was because I kind of like escapism from this world. There's like a lot happening in this world that I find injustice. Like there's a lot of injustices out there, and it's kind of like a mess. So with this character, it kind of like nobody's perfect, right? There is good and there is bad in everyone. So I feel like sometimes things get a little bit muddled, and with this character, that's why I think I added the little horns and the halo because she kind of represents a balance between that, like the yin and the yang.
We're gonna move on to the next section. This is the tips, tricks, and process. So I want to know like your entire drawing process, like the digital, traditional, what medium or tool can you not live without, and what's your story behind it?
Okay, so let me I actually have something right here. So this is like an airtight palette. Now this I cannot live without this. So this is for like when I do traditional work. So I use acrylic paint. And if you guys have used acrylic paint, you know that it dries off so quickly. So that is a must have for me because I remember when I first started painting, I had my little palette, which I still use. I just put it inside of here as well. Um, so I have a little palette and I'm painting, and then I'm just like, okay, let me sit back and just look at my painting for one moment. I grab the palette. The paint is dry. I was, the paint is dry. So I needed something because sometimes I can't really match the color, the tint specifically. Like I can get it close to it, but I can't get the exact same color. And I was getting really frustrated regarding that. So I was trying to find anything that could help me with that. I was thinking of like making bottles and putting paint in those bottles of that specific tint. And I came across that. And now my life is so much easier.
You know, I gotta take that because I had no idea that you could like put the paint in there and it stays wet. What I
It
buy is
does.
something. I buy something called retarder. It's
Hmm.
like that's just what I buy. It doesn't work that good, but that's good. I gotta get that. I
Yeah.
hate painting because of that. Because painting costs too
Yeah.
much,
No, I
especially
make I
yeah.
make a big bunch of it, and then like I take a break, I sit back, I cover it, I go do my thing, I come back, the paint's there.
That's cool. That's why
Yeah.
I honestly don't like painting, but I'm getting that like today.
Mhm.
Guys, if you paint acrylic, get yourself an air dry. What is it called?
It's an airtight palette.
Oh, okay. Is it made specifically for painters?
Yes, it is. It's made specifically for painters.
I nobody ever. I just the first time. This is the first time I've ever heard about this. This is why
I'm glad
we
I
need
could
you.
help.
You help. You helping everybody.
Mm.
Oh, so you kind of talked about this a little bit. We were talking about Melanie Martinez, like
Mhm.
when she hits a creative wall. But what's your secret? What's your breakthrough when you hit a creative wall?
So I think honestly, it's just taking a break, like stepping back a little bit, right? Clearing your head and then coming back with like fresher eyes. Sometimes I get really frustrated with either not knowing what to do or a painting I am already working on and just not knowing what the next step is. Sometimes I'm not feeling it. So sometimes just stepping back, coming back to it, I realize what needs to be done. Or sometimes I decide, oh, you know what? It's actually not that bad. Sometimes you just need to step back. Mhm.
Step back. Do you ever like? Because that's what I do. My paintings are actually in my room, so my bed we can facing my painting. I go to sleep with my painting looking right at me, so I can sleep on it. Did you do that?
I I sometimes do, sometimes don't, depending on where I can store it. But what I do is I take a picture of it. So sometimes I be like on my phone just looking at it, being like, and then editing it, trying to see what I could add to it or just anything like that.
I ain't gonna lie. No, wait. Sometimes, okay, because you just showed me your acrylic painting, and I have seen your original paintings. I sometimes think you do digital art. Do you?
I
Or is
do
that
a lot of digital art, yes. It kind of helps digital art when I'm trying to just make prints and just
okay?
make merchandise. For paintings, is mostly if I'm trying to go to art shows or galleries. I usually do paintings for those, yeah.
That makes sense. Because I know I seen both. I'm like, she a digital or traditional? I never asked, but
Yeah.
your style looks the same though. That's really cool. Uh, what's the best art related tip you ever received?
I honestly think it's to just keep creating. There's a creator, Raffi and Klee, which they have kept me grounded through this whole like art journey. Um, sometimes, I think people really romanticize art, and it's fun. It's so much fun. It's supposed to be a positive experience, but a lot of the times when you're an artist, there's a lot of self doubt, and sometimes you feel like it's not good enough. You feel like maybe like giving up, right? And when people tell you just keep creating, right? It kind of just like reminds me that like, like keep creating because at the end of the day, it's supposed to be fun. Like you don't you don't have to let your doubts get to you. So sometimes just keep creating.
That's right. Keep creating, guys. Don't let the negative thoughts in your head make you stop.
Yes.
You can be your own worst critic, but just keep creating.
Yeah, exactly.
All
You don't have to stay
right.
stuck in the painting you hate.
You know how many paintings? This is another question. This was not on the list, but it just got to me. How
Yeah.
many paintings have you hated actually sold?
Oh my goodness. I remember. Okay, so for the summer slasher art show, I was I didn't really necessarily hate it, but I just felt like it wasn't up to par to what I wanted it originally to be. And I didn't even show up for that day. I was like, no, I'm embarrassing. It's okay. I didn't even take pictures of it because I was like, it's okay. I'll get it back. No worries. I'll just get it back. And both of them sold that night. I was so surprised. Sometimes, you know, other people don't see what we see because the person that is the creator, we see all the things that we wanted it to be rather than what it is. Yeah.
Exactly,
But
man.
many have sold that I'm just like, oh, I'm so glad you liked it because I'm too picky with my own stuff.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
asked that question because I know I feel that way about my art. So I was like, I painted something and I'm glad it's sold. But like, you bought that? I hated this. I'm glad it's gone.
You're right.
Well, it's crazy. But once again, back to the other point, you your own worst critic. Just keep creating. So you do art for business because you do shows, like you just said. Sometimes you do digital to make prints because it's easier just to get it already digital. So I want to know, how do you balance out creating art for fun and creating art to sell?
I'm honestly still trying to balance that out. I'm still trying to perfect that. There's a lot of personal projects that are really fun that I still want to do, but sometimes they have to be in the back burner because there's deadlines coming up. Now, what I will definitely say is that the way to combat this is to apply to art shows or markets that are in your interest. Like, for example, I know both of us are in this art show for today, the Pokemon Sketch 'em
Yeah.
All Pokemon art show. Yeah, so I love Pokemon. So when I saw that there was an art show coming up for it, I applied for it. So that way I get to do something for fun, but also it's for sale, you know?
True, true, true.
Yeah.
That's the way I think. I don't even apply for that many shows because if it just don't interest me personally, like I might just even think hard about painting something I don't care about.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just my personal preference. Is that just because I don't care about it means that cool? I'm just a very simple person. I like Pokemon.
Yeah.
I can't really think about things like if a show is called like Love. I don't know what to do because I can't think of nothing that's lovely. I'll just so
Yeah. You have
that's
to do things that interest you because at the end of the day, you know, the more fun you have with the idea of it, the better the work will come out.
That's true. So that's a good way to
Mhm.
balance how to create art for sale and how to create art for fun. And for those who
Mhm.
don't know, some of the shows we do are thematic shows. So like if we do a black and white art show or a Pokemon art show, we're creating specifically for that show.
Yes.
Um,
Mhm.
so what are your do's and don'ts for art shows? Now, before you answer this question, for those who don't know, there's two types of art shows. There's the art shows where you put your piece on the gallery wall and that's it. You leave it alone. Then there's art shows where you have a table. It's called an art market. So this is particularly for art markets. What are your do's and don'ts for
Okay.
art markets?
Okay, for art markets. So the do's are prepare yourself, like have preparations. If you need to make a list, do so if you must, right? Because it honestly, that's what I do. I have a list of all the things that I need. That way I don't forget anything. And the don't is leave things for the last minute. Because trust me, sometimes I still do that myself. And it just makes everything way more stressful than it needs to be. As well as do do socialize and talk to your like neighbors, support one another, and don't, I would say, there's not many don'ts. I'm not sure. There's a lot of do's,
Yeah,
but
that's a
don't.
lot of
Yeah.
don'ts.
I mostly just think like do like do be prepared, do be nice to others, support one another.
Okay,
Yeah.
what is the most, because when it comes to art markets, how do you deal with slow days? This is very good for people who might be
Oh,
getting into
yeah.
art markets. How do you personally deal with, I'm having a slow day? Customers are here, customers aren't here, they're just not showing up to my booth. What do I do?
That is very good because sometimes for slow days, oh man, time goes by so slow. Um, Sometimes if you have help, I like walking around and talking to other artists. Other times, if I have something to do, like sometimes if I had to be cutting stuff, I do like behind the scenes. Like behind, I guess like I get some other stuff prepared, so I'm not like wasting my time, right? Or if you have an iPad or if you have doodles, I've seen many people just draw and doodle as well. So it kind of keeps you just, just like coming up with stuff to do. And I think that's like a good way to do. Yeah.
Yeah, because it can be very discouraging for new art people who get into
Hmm.
the shows and like, it's so slow and I
Yeah.
paid money to get here. But
Yeah.
think about it, use the most of your time, like she said. You can
Hmm.
doodle. Network with other artists is always good because they can help you out with different shows to do. Because that might not be a good show that you're at,
Yeah.
or it could be a good show, just not a good day for people.
Just not a good day.
It happens, but don't let that discourage you, kids out there. Let me see. Now, I did watch your vlogs. They're really fun. I love it. I'm gonna put it in the link in my description so y'all can go check out her YouTube channel.
Yeah.
She vlogs about art markets. So, what are red flags? What red flags should artists watch out for when deciding on what shows to join? This goes for both art galleries and art markets.
Okay. So red flag number one, I think, especially when it comes to markets, is if it's I would say like if it's a market that there's like no foot traffic and they are charging the same or more than established markets, like especially like some new markets they pop up and they want to charge like a big amount for like not a market that's already established, so there's not many people that are going to be showing up, so that it's just not saying that you don't support small up and coming markets, but it just kind of it has to make sense. At the end of the day, it kind of hurts the markets itself if the vendors don't do well, because the markets get their money from the vendors and the vendors get their money from foot traffic. So
Yeah. Don't do your
Mhm.
research before you join a market. Make sure they actually can bring a crowd. And then if
Yes.
they're charging you big money, don't do it. I made a mistake a long time ago and I cried.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Very discouraging. You're like, oh man.
and don't let peer pressure get to you. Feel like, but this is the only chance I got. No, there's plenty of chances out there.
Yeah.
Don't do that. All right, I think we made it to the signature question. We're right at the same minute, 23 minutes, 23 minutes. So I want to know what makes you mad.
Oh, I got
What
a good answer for this. I got a good answer.
what in the art world makes BXP mad?
All right. Well, I think honestly, it's the lack of support that you can receive from certain people. The lack of support that you sometimes expect from people that are closest to you, right? Whether it's family or friends. Um, it kind of like putting yourself out there really shows you who's rocking with you and who's not. And that can be maddening at times because sometimes you're like, dang, like I thought we were cool. I thought you would support me. And support, I just mean just even giving a follow, just a like, just any interaction that shows, hey, like, good job, like, good on you, Yeah, that's crazy. Or other artists that, you think you're really friends with them, you think you have made a connection, and then they just don't reciprocate. That hurts. Yeah, so that makes me mad. Show support. Show some love to the people that are supposed to be your friend. Yeah.
That's right. Support your friends for real, man. We out here drawing and dying and hungry. We're starving.
Right.
Okay. All right, now it's time for self promotion time. So, where can we follow you on Instagram?
On Instagram, you can follow me under BrokenXPalette. And some people don't know how to spell palette. It's kind of like a palette that you paint on.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, let me spell it out for you in case you don't know.
Yes.
That's BrokenXPalette.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes
then,
people put 2 L's, 1 T. That's a paillette.
well, I do that too sometimes, man. And then you have your Do you have an online store? I should have done my research.
I had an Etsy, but I'm kind of in the transitioning. I'm like transitioning from Etsy this year. This year, I already said it, and I'm already gonna keep saying it. This year is the year I will come up. I will have my online store.
Y'all support her online store. Check her Instagram,
Yeah.
and she'll let you know when it's ready. She has a
Yes.
YouTube, and also I know you're a Houston artist. Do you ever plan on going to other cities to support to do your work?
I would love to. Yes. I think there's like some art shows in Seattle, some in LA. There's like certain ones that I'm following, and they're like big galleries. It's costly, it's expensive, and you got to do things smartly, because at the end of the day, you want to put yourself out there, but you also want to do it with your brain. But
Right.
yeah, that I'm definitely, hopefully in like the next upcoming years, I will be expanding my BXP little self.
Well, I hope you do that, and I hope you have fun doing it. And you said yourself you're gonna be smart with it because it's expensive. But at the end of the day, she's down here in H-Town, so come catch her at some galleries. Follow her on Instagram, and she'll tell you where she's gonna be at. Buy her artwork; it's so cute, it's so amazing. She actually, I'm gonna support my brother right now. Did the song cover, art cover for Evil Bunny. It's so cute. I love it. So King David, a local Houston artist, and she drew the little picture for it for the song. It's so cute. I'll put it on my screen. Yeah. Thanks for being on my podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, show us some love from wherever you're listening. Be sure to rate this episode, review, like, and subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe to the podcast, Mad Cabas Podcast, on Apple and on Spotify. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below or email me at madcabasinfo@gmail.com. If you made it this far, thanks for listening. This is Imani telling you to stay safe, stay blessed, and stay mad.
It's mad.